has been able to do.
Welcome to GMV Videos. I'm Sean Ray, your host for the 2002 Mr. Olympia here in Las Vegas, Nevada. I'm backstage at the pump-up area where you're going to meet the biggest and the best bodybuilders on the planet Earth. This year, you're not going to see this from me. A little small, but you're going to get a lot of this. I'm going to be reporting backstage here as we got the return of Flex Wheeler coming off a 2-year hiatus in the Mr. Olympia contest. We've got Ronnie Coleman going for his 5th consecutive win here at the Mandalay Bay, trying to become the 5-time champion of the Mr. Olympia. We've also got some other interesting stories. Marcus Rule, we're going to find out what he did since the Night of Champion victory to get here to this contest. And we also have another story. George Farrar, who was shot 3 times, qualified for the Mr. Olympia, and he's here making his pro debut. We also have Bob Ciccarillo, 37 years old, 15-year amateur bodybuilder, finally made it here to the big show and going to be going up against his arch rival, King Kamali. The only other guy.
Don't forget me, Sean. Don't forget me.
There he is.
This is my biggest critic here.
The beast from the East, Nasser El Sombati.
But I accept him to a certain degree because he's one of the best, and he should have won also the title a couple of times.
Nasser El Sombati in his 10th Mr. Olympia, trying to make a comeback from last year's disappointment. Came in a little bit heavier, a little bit harder. We're going to find out what he does here today. We also have Kevin Levrone. Kevin Levrone slipped a few places last year and also had a very hard time in the offseason, had a hernia operation. He's taken full ownership of his gym. He's gone through some personal problems, but he says he's ready to make the comeback here tonight. We also have Craig Titus coming back for his 2nd Mr. Olympia contest, who's one of the only pro bodybuilders that's also married to another fitness professional, Kelly Ryan, who got 2nd place last night. And speaking of marital bodybuilders, we also have Superman, Lee Priest, making his comeback here to the Mr. Olympia. A year ago, he was out of the competition because he had a heart ailment. Came back and won the San Francisco Pro, and he's here tonight to find out whether or not he can crack that top 6. As well, we have Dennis James, all the way from Thailand. Always good, but never good enough when it comes to the Mr. Olympia contest. This year, he says he's nailed it with the help of Milos Sarcev. So we're going to find out whether or not Dennis James, coming in at a little bit lighter body weight, has tailored his waist and improved his weaknesses to crack the top 6. As well, we've got Dexter Jackson, 220 pounds, the Blade. He's always known for being sharp, but he competes too often and can't make the improvements necessary to compete at this contest. But he took a year off, and he's coming back to try to muscle in the top 5. I think he can do it. We'll find out later on. As these guys come back from the warm-up area, they're backstage right now. We've got about 15 minutes before they're all back here. I'll try to get some up-close interviews with these guys just before they hit the professional stage up here at the Mandalay Bay at the Mr. Olympia 2002. I'm backstage with professional superstar, bodybuilding extraordinaire, Dennis James, working closely with his good friend, Milos Sarcev, also the owner of a Gold's Gym out in Fullerton where we train, and Dennis spends his last minutes preparing out in Fullerton. Milos, did you do anything different? Dennis has come down in weight this year.
Well, as you know, Dennis is one of the top pros. He's actually one of the guys that can really even take the title. We're always going for knockout punch, last couple of times, and things didn't really work our way. This time we didn't want to take no chances. We're just cruising in safely. You were there, you saw him every day. Dorian was there, so I think that today he has a package that finally he's going to prove to the world the caliber that he is.
Well, how do you feel, Dennis?
I'm very confident. I had Milos the whole time with me. I actually had you. The last couple of weeks, you helped me pose, and you looked at me. You gave me more confidence. Right. Don't give me confidence, so that motivates me even more. See, I get goosebumps again just talking about it.
Yeah. Well, what's the magic weight this year?
I guess I don't know how much I weigh, but I would say I'm somewhere in the upper 40s, which a lot of people don't believe because they think I look a lot heavier. This is probably due to that I have deeper cuts and probably create an illusion like you always do. When you're on stage, you look bigger than you're heavier than you really are. And this is where I'm supposed to be. And you were right, everybody else is right. And I'm just happy that this time we put it together. Hopefully we can hold it together until I walk on stage. And then it's up to the judges. All I'm going to do is I'm ready to display my physique to the fullest today. And I've learned a few tricks from you. I've learned so much from Milos. I will use this to my advantage this year, and we'll try to knock out some of the guys ahead of me. And whatever happens today, it's up to the judges. Whatever happens, whenever I leave here, I'll be happy anyway because I achieved what I wanted to achieve, and it's more time to improve, and I'm still young, and I'm still coming back next year, whatever happens tonight.
Right on.
But I'm confident that I will make it top 6. Other than that, I wouldn't have no motivation to train if I wouldn't think like that.
I had breakfast with your brother the other day, and let's set the record straight. Dennis is from Thailand, but he's not Thai. Dennis, what are you exactly?
Okay, I'm half American, half German. My father was in the Army. He's from New York. He was in the service station in Germany, met my mother, married my mother. Well, he stayed over there. That's how they created us. So that's what you call an army brat.
Yeah, yeah.
And German American, yeah. My first language is German, actually. My second language is English, so that's why I still sometimes sound like a foreigner, because I'm still a tourist.
Right. Well, while we're all growing old together, Milos is married, has a kid. You got married this past June.
Yeah.
And you're a father. What's that done to your bodybuilding, and what's that done for you? Your wife's not here with you.
Nah, she's not here with me. That's actually, I'm not sad. I would love for her to be here to see what happens tonight, but she will eventually get a chance to see it. I was going to bring her with me, but then again, I'm traveling, and you know, after marriage, you know, which is the best thing in the world. I'm happy to be married to the most beautiful woman on this planet. For me, she is, and she does everything. She does all my meals. She takes care of me perfectly when I'm home. She hates every day that I'm not home because she thinks that I cannot take care of myself the way she do it. So, which is right. But you know, I didn't have a chance to get on a honeymoon, which I want to do after I finish competing. Since I got a tour in Europe, and got to come back to UGNC where I can't bring her because due to visa restrictions. So I figured when everything is said and done, I go back, pick her up, bring her back to the U.S. and travel with her so I can show her some things which I couldn't do while I'm dieting and preparing for a show.
Congratulations to Dennis, and newlywed. Show us the end result of your hard work just before you hit the stage. Hit a few shots for us. All right. Milos? All right. Hit a few shots for us. Dennis James, USA champion, professional bodybuilder, trying to make the top 6 for the first time in his career where he belongs. And through the help and guidance of Milos Sarcev and training at Gold's Gym in Fullerton, he plans on continuing on from here 2 weeks from, or next weekend, going to the English Grand Prix, over to the Holland Grand Prix that Dorian Yates is promoting, and then finishing up at the GNC Pro November 2nd. But right now, Dennis James, about to live his dream.
See you guys on stage.
Dennis James. All right, we're joined with Derham Charles, the winner of the Southwest Pro Bodybuilding Contest held in May. Derham, you won your first pro contest. How does it feel?
I'm excited. You know, I've been waiting for this for a long time, and it finally happened. And you know, to top of the year, it's going to be nice to finish high here.
Well, I was there at Southwest when you won that contest. I had you clearly winning the contest, and then the Olympia predictions came out, and I said you're one of the guys that are going to be struggling to make the top 10. Not a personal attack, because I prefer your type of physique, but I know how the system is. What does that do to your mind, knowing that you're a pro champion, and you come to a contest like this, where a lot of times they give the over-reward size?
Well, you know, this is bodybuilding, and you know, a lot of people can make predictions before, and we just got to wait and see when the smoke clears, what happens. You know, I'm definitely on today. I couldn't be any more on, and we're going to see what the judges think.
Well, Derham, you're out in Florida training. You're a husband. You're a father. You had some tragedy happen a couple of weeks ago, and I want to say my deepest condolences from my family. How has that affected your mindset? This is the Mr. Olympia. This is all you've ever trained for, and the loss of your mother coming here. I mean, you could have easily stayed at home.
You're right. You know, of course, it takes a toll on you. It just happened 2 weeks ago. I laid her to rest just Friday, which was October 11th. And, you know, I was already preparing for the show, and I know she would have wanted me to continue to do so. And, you know, so that's why I'm here.
Well, it's a true testament to your character. It matches up with your physique. You're one of my favorites. I've always liked your physique. We're similar in height and weight. What are you weighing tonight?
I'm not sure, because I pay more attention right now. This year I have been paying more attention to my overall conditioning, and not more the mirror, as you always say in your videos, than the weight. And you're my hero, so I follow what you say, and it worked for me this year, so I just kept the flow of that. So I don't know what I weigh, but if I'm to guess, I would say I'm probably around 220, 222, something like that.
Well, Derham, I want to wish you the best of luck. Why don't you show us what that physique looks like just minutes before you hit the prejudging here? That's Derham Charles, Southwest professional champion, getting ready to attack the Mr. Olympia stage. Good luck, Derham.
Thank you.
Okay. Okay, as you can see, we've got all the athletes gathered here in the warm-up area. Minutes before they go out to do the lineup, it is exactly 12 noon on October the 19th, Mr. Olympia 2002. As you can see, we've got Durham Charles. We've got four-time Mr. Olympia, Ronnie Coleman, King Kamali, Kevin Levrone. They're getting their last-minute preparation. With these athletes, what's going through these athletes' minds right now is, did I do all I can do? They're trying to get their color right. They're trying to pump up some nervous energy so that when they walk out in front of 4,000 fans here, this is the first chance these people are going to get to see them since last year. So a lot of guys are just pumping out some nervous energy right now before they walk out on stage. It's kind of a madhouse. You've got all sizes here. You've got Orville Burke, who looks to be every bit of 260 pounds, all the way down to George Farrar, who might be every bit of 180 pounds. You got Lee Priest, Flex Wheeler, Claude Gruel, Nasser El Sinbadi, King Kamali, Ahmad Hadir, Dexter Jackson, Orville Burke, Kevin Levrone, Art Atwood, Craig Titus, Dennis James. A very eclectic group of bodybuilders, but nonetheless, they're all qualified to be here and they represent the best in the world. You have Bob Ciccarillo back in the back, Tommy Thorvaldsen, who's making his Mr. Olympia debut. They've all got numbers on their shorts and they're going to come out on stage numerically. And this is where they're going to do the symmetry round. This will be the round where the judges are trying to find the best comparisons of balance of muscle, definition, muscle tie-ins, symmetry, of course conditioning, and generally the first call out sets the tone for the competition. Of course we can expect Ronnie Coleman, the four-time defending champion, to be in that call out, and every other bodybuilder in this lineup is hoping that the earlier their name is called out, the higher they will wind up placing. So the fans, you can feel the energy, are waiting to get a first glimpse of their bodybuilding heroes. We've got Gunther Schlierkamp, who's 290 pounds from Germany as well. We've got every country represented here. We've got Dennis James from Thailand. We've got Gunther Schlierkamp from Germany. Tommy Thorvaldsen from Finland, now living in England. Marcus Rule from Germany. Lee Priest, Australia's own, who's now living in California, married to Kathy Lefrancois from Canada. We've also got Ahmad Hadir representing Lebanon. Also we have Paco representing Spain. So we've got a very international lineup ready to take the stage as Wayne D'Amelia begins to bring the athletes out one at a time. One of the biggest Olympias in history, 25 competitors vying for $110,000 prize money, an Escalade from Cadillac being donated from Pinnacle, and the prize money's been raised for the top 10, but yet again we'll have 15 competitors going home with absolutely nothing to show for their hard work. Chris Cormier, the real deal, is also here. As they make their way up the stage, Jan Tana puts on last-minute application onto Claude Gruel. This is the creme de la creme. And now the big boys, Nasser El Sinbadi, Art Atwood, Craig Titus, Gunther Schlierkamp, the back of Flex Wheeler, Ernie Taylor representing England, and the Masters champion, Don Youngblood, who upset Vince Taylor, the five-time defending champion this year, making his Olympia debut out of Arkansas, and bringing up the rear, Ernie Taylor from England with the famous triceps. And there you have it. We'll get more muscle when they come off the stage and more interviews to find out how they got here to the Mr. Olympia 2002 at Las Vegas, Nevada. We're here with Art Atwood in his first professional Olympia debut, the winner of the Toronto Pro Show. Art, how did you turn professional?
Won the Nationals super heavyweight class last year.
How much were you weighing?
244.
And tonight at your first Olympia, what are you weighing?
I'm about 261, 262.
261 pounds. I said that earlier in my Olympia predictions that Art Atwood would be one of those guys that would probably just be happy to be here. Art, what did that do to you, hearing somebody say like that? Since I've been at the Olympia 13 years,
Sure.
you know, and a lot of times I feel it's a name game. A lot of the bigger seasoned veterans get a better call out, a better opportunity to compete. But a new up-and-coming amateur right off his first pro win, a lot of times you get overlooked. Did that do anything to your psychic when you heard me say that?
Absolutely. You know, you put me, someone I just beat, Marcus Rule, you put him ahead of me, and I just beat him. So it was motivated. And, you know, it just made me work harder, and I decided to, you know, give 110%, work out 7 days a week. And, yeah, it motivated me to train harder. So I'm definitely harder than Toronto at this show.
Yeah, well, it reminds me of a lot of Ronnie Coleman. Before he won his first Olympia, I called him 100-to-1 long shot to win, just because he didn't have the name. And a lot of times when you know people beat other guys, sometimes they still come back to giving the name game. You look like you've done your homework tonight. It's your first Olympia. What does this mean to you to actually be here, competing against some of the guys that got you started in bodybuilding?
Yeah, I could just imagine 3 years ago, Ronnie was giving my first trophy on stage, and here he's up. You know, I'll get a chance to hopefully compete against him closer next time.
Right,
It's kind of a dream come true, and it's a big realization when you're actually here and you're with all these guys you see for the last 10 years. I've been competing for 10 years like yourself, and you're actually up on stage against them. It's a good feeling.
You're one of those guys that kind of came out of nowhere. I know you never come out of nowhere to get to the Olympia, but in terms of publicity, you're one of those guys that had to really earn your stripes to get here. A lot of the seasoned veterans don't really look back at the guys coming up because we're constantly looking ahead to the guys ahead of us. So like last year, I had King Kamali come out of nowhere and call me out. I didn't even know what he had won to get to the pro ranks. You're one of those guys that, you know, when you win the Nationals, you win the Toronto Pro Show, you come up here, you're 260 pounds, which seems to be favorable. You got some good call-outs in the signature round. What's going to happen in this next one when you get down to the muscularity? You hoping for something good to happen?
I got good side and back shots, and it shows my definition, my conditioning. So I'm hopefully going to try and move up a couple places with this next couple rounds, and we'll just see what happens.
I know you're tired. Can you hit a couple of shots for the fans all over the world to see you in your first Olympia debut? Art Atwood, 261 pounds in his first Mr. Olympia contest, Toronto Pro Champion. We'll see him later on in the show in the call-outs of the muscularity round, which is really where we get to the meat and potatoes. All right, good luck. Tommy Thorvaldsen, another guy with his first time here at the Mr. Olympia. Tommy, when I got here, I was 22 years old, and I was one of those guys that was kind of starry-eyed with all the professionals surrounding me. This is the biggest show of your life. What does it mean for you to be here at the Mandalay Bay here at the Mr. Olympia?
It means a lot. This is it. This is the Super Bowl, man. It's so great. I know Sean Ray have been here for so many years, and this is my first. I'm going to come back, man, no matter what.
Where'd you come from? Where are you from? What country?
I'm from Norway, and I'm here to fight to the end till I get my place. Nothing is over before that.
How much are you weighing here tonight at the Mr. Olympia?
I wish there was a scale, actually, because now I don't know. Right, I didn't go by the scale this time.
How did you qualify to get to the Mr. Olympia this year?
I had 10 professional shows, so it was a hard road, and when I qualified was in Austria, so it's about 6 months ago.
Yeah.
Took third place, and now I'm here. I'm happy now. And one more thing I want to say, I want to thank Joe Weider and Weider Publication, because they stand behind me 100%, and I moved to California now, so I can leave bodybuilding 100%.
There you go. Tommy Thorvaldsen, living the dream. Show us some poses here real quick so the fans can see what you're looking like. Moved all the way from Norway to England and now living in California, training at Gold's Gym. Living the dream at the Mr. Olympia, making his Olympia debut, Tommy Thorvaldsen. Thank you.
Good job.
All right. We got King Kamali joining us here. Kamali, last year there were some words thrown around, a lot of controversy going on. You did definitely walk the walk. I just was talking with Art Atwood, his first Olympia this year. This is your second Olympia. What difference has a year made in your career coming back to the Mr. Olympia after finishing 10th place last year?
More knowledge. You grow up a little bit more, and you realize that this is a business, not a sport.
I said last year after a few comments, I said Kamali needs to shut up and train, and it looks like you did that. We didn't hear much from you this year in the way of getting ready for the show, and you came back and you look phenomenal. What were you doing differently this year as opposed to last year?
I just suffered more. Used the negative comments and took it out in the gym.
You didn't appear on GetBig.com as much this year either. That seemed to energize you last year. What's the difference?
I'm tired of arguing with 16-year-olds.
Well, your body's definitely doing the talking for you. How much did you weigh tonight?
I think I'm right around 247.
Can you hit a few poses for your fans out there? King Kamali in his second Mr. Olympia, one of the more entertaining posers of the contest. I saw that he has about 6 to 7 minutes slated for his posing routine tonight. What, do you got anything special for us?
It's going to be the bomb.
King Kamali, man of few words. Dead man walking. George Farah, one of the more interesting stories of the Mr. Olympia contest, because what you've overcome, no one else ever has. You got shot 3 times. You blew it off like it was nothing. You came back fighting. You won your class at the Nationals, earned your pro card, qualified for the Mr. Olympia by getting 3rd place at the Southwest Pro Show.
Correct.
You're 5'5", 5'6".
5'7".
How much are you weighing tonight?
208.
This is your first Mr. Olympia. We have a lot of guys competing for the first time here at the Olympia. I know it's a long road here, especially overcoming the injuries and all that stuff. What does it mean for you to be here tonight amongst these greats?
It's an awesome feeling, first of all, you know. I mean, I can't even describe it, from being dead 4 years ago to becoming a pro, and then now my first time out, I qualified to do it. It was just amazing. It's amazing when you have the Lord by your side, you know.
Works wonders on you. Where are you originally from, and where do you stay now?
Actually, I was born in Beirut, Lebanon, and I live in Rochester, New York for the past 17 years, upstate New York.
Right. So you're 100 and... How much weight?
208 pounds.
208 pounds, one of the smaller guys in the show. What does it feel like when you're standing up on the stage and they're calling out these guys at 260, Ronnie Coleman 260, and Marcus Roll? Are you intimidated? Do you feel you can hold your own with these guys?
You know what? I used to be, but now from just hearing the people, you know, the fans, they come up to me, they said, you know, you're something we can relate to. You're like Sean Ray, like Lila Brada, you know, this is something, like, they look at you, you're not that freak, you know what I'm saying? So I'm hoping that I can bring that nice look physique back, you know.
Well, speaking of that nice looking physique, why don't you show us what it's looking like before you get back up there to finish off the prejudging. George Farah in his first Mr. Olympia contest, coming back from the brink of death to put fear into his competitors. 208 pounds, 5'6". George Farah representing out of Rochester, New York.
Thanks.
Good luck.
Thanks.
Okay. All right, and speaking of muscle, we're joined with Ronnie Coleman, 4-time Mr. Olympia. Ronnie, it brings me back to 1998, where I called you 100-to-1 long shot. 4 years later, you're the 4-time reigning defending champion, and it doesn't look too good for your competitors out there. What did you do differently this year with a little bit of criticism last year? What did you do to come back to get motivated again to repeat this?
Well, last year I was kind of sick behind all the stuff that I did before the contest, like 2 photo shoots, appearances for TV, 4 hours at the Meet the Olympians, signing autographs, standing on my feet. This year, I concentrated more on resting my body, being focused for this show, and just like I just come for this show only and not the side show, and to win the title again.
Not only are you trying to win this title, but there's an Escalade. Does that give it a brand new car? Does that give you a little bit more incentive to train hard? You already got a Hummer from the Arnold Classic.
Escalade ain't got nothing to do with this for me. I got an Escalade sitting on 24s right now with 5 TVs in it, 15 speakers, everything fully loaded. So that don't mean nothing to me.
What are you weighing tonight?
Probably about 250.
You dropped a few pounds from last year. You know, it was a controversial win last year. A lot of fans didn't think you deserved to win. You thought you did. How did you take that in the offseason, hearing people saying things about the champion?
It motivates you to only be better and to get better, and that's why God put these kind of obstacles in your life, you know, to motivate you and not to take these things for granted, because, you know, this is a hard sport. When you got to work hard to get to where you are and to be number one, you gotta be criticized sometimes to make yourself better.
Well, I saw your unbelievable bodybuilding tape, and that's got to be a great seller for you. I've never seen a bodybuilder train with the kind of poundages that you have. As a matter of fact, I'm inspired by it. Even though we're on 2 different ends of the spectrum, you're not only the biggest, but you're the best and you're the strongest. Do you fear getting injured? We saw Dorian Yates win 6 Olympia titles. He left with a torn bicep, torn tricep, shoulder injuries. Do you have any injuries from training that way?
Yeah, I have some injuries, but you know, it's like you say, you know, you got to take a chance if you're going to be the best, and you want to be the best, then you got to put out the most, and that's what I do in the gym and, you know, when I get to the stage.
Well, we know at the press conference your former girlfriend, her mother passed just a week ago. You look like you were emotionally struck by that. Has that had any effect on your preparations coming here this year, being so close to Vicky for all those years and her family?
Well, it's kind of like my mother passed too because I was so close to her, but, you know, people are going to pass and go on, and you just got to look at it, and hopefully you'll see them again once you get to heaven.
Well, Ronnie, before you go out there to try to win this 5th Mr. Olympia title, which from where I sit looks inevitable, can you show the fans around the world a little sneak preview before the final show? Last year you had one of the routines that they said really actually brought you back from the brink of defeat. You got anything special for us here tonight?
Always. You know me, you got to have something special for the people.
4-time Mr. Olympia, Ronnie Coleman, going for number 5 tonight. I'm joined with IFBB professional bodybuilding star Bob Ciccarello, one of the new kids on the block. You, along with George Farrar and Art Atwood, are a couple rookies here. Bob, we trained and competed against each other for many years as teenagers. I watched on the East Coast the guys I had to compete against, and ultimately in 1987 I got my pro card. You continued to stay the course. 13 years later, you are here at the Mr. Olympia. How's it feel?
It feels great. I mean, nobody knows but another, bodybuilding professional, what it takes to get to this point. To take another 13 years to get there, well, it's not customary. I just kept plugging away at it and finally made it here. So it's great to be here at the Olympia and experience everything that it has to offer.
You made a good point the other day. Your first year as a pro, it was kind of a feeling out period. But you came back, you got second at the Southwest, you got second at the Night of Champions, and you were still criticized. How do you take that criticism when you do so well only 2 years into the game and ultimately wind up here at the Mr. Olympia?
It's an interesting game. I mean, this is one of those sports that no matter what you do, it isn't good enough. If you win, it's because nobody else was there. If you place high, it's because you have a contract with a company. It just seems like nobody ever wants to give their just due, for somebody really, busting their hump and getting in contest shape. And every one of us here knows, everybody's put in, months and months and months of preparation and work. And, it doesn't come easy. So, it's tough to deal with that sometimes, but like all things, you're never going to please all the people all of the time.
Right. Well, you've been one of those bodybuilders that are very real about where they stand in the sport. You're actually doing some acting work out in California. You got a fitness model for a girlfriend. You're actually living the dream of all those guys back in Rochester, training at Gold's Gym. You're working out with Tom Prince, and your boy King Kamali's here as well. Very few bodybuilders actually have the time to nurture a friendship in this sport. I've noticed that over the years you and Kamali have kind of been able to keep it together, and yet at the press conference they were trying to divide you and Lee Priest over the internet, some comments in magazines.
It's like anything else in this day and age. What sells, and it's all hype. Hype sells, drama sells. You look at all the most popular things, the wrestling sells. It's not the wrestling moves that sell. Right. It's who hates who and who turned on who. And, this one, turned against his brother now and he's against that one. And, that's what motivates people. That's what they like to see. They like to, create like their own controversies and stuff. Us in the game know that, it's part of the game.
Right.
It's something you deal with. But yeah, it'd be nice to have a few friends when we're done competing here that we can look back and, talk about all our days in the game.
When we were in shape.
Exactly right. And we can sit around and eat and...
Well, now that you're here, the fans want to know out there, I mean, what does it actually feel like? Does it feel the way that you expected, or is it kind of anticlimactic because of all the dieting and all the sacrifices just to get here? It's like you just want to eat, or do you still feel it that, this is the Super Bowl, this is what it's all about?
It's kind of a little of both. I mean, it's a little anticlimactic only in that, I mean, it takes 14 weeks to get here, and by the time you get here, you're so exhausted and beat up, you just can't wait to basically kind of get through it and, get up on stage. However, it is the Olympia, and everybody that's here knows it's the Olympia. It's the best contest in the world for what we do. And just given that alone just kind of gives me goosebumps just thinking about it and competing with all these other great bodybuilders that I've been watching personally for years, out in that stands. And now I can be up here with them, and experience the entire Olympia weekend and not just the competition, because there is more to it.
Right. Well, as the fans watch the Mr. Olympia, and there is a lot to display, you're only halfway through. You got to come back and do the evening show. But let's give the fans an up-close look at what they have to look forward to from Bob Ciccarello at his first Mr. Olympia.
Well, you got it.
All right. Hit a few shots for us. Bob Ciccarello, USA overall champion, making his pro debut here at the Mr. Olympia from Rochester, now living in California, part-time actor. Got the fitness model for a girlfriend, training at Gold's Gym. About to do battle in a few hours with the best in the world at the Mandalay Bay here in Las Vegas. Thanks, baby.
Thanks, buddy.
Good luck, all right?
Sean.
Okay. We're joined with the bad boy of bodybuilding, Mr. Craig Titus. Come a long way, Craig. Last year, a little bit out of the money. This year, I think you're actually in the money. You surprised the hell out of me because I actually didn't think you were going to get it together. You moved from Venice, California, which was crazy as hell. You came out here to Las Vegas with your wife, Kelly Ryan, who was second last night in the fitness. You guys are doing personal training things, and you're doing promotions for after parties. And there's no doubt about it, that internet stuff gets underneath our skin, and there's some words. There's a lot of stuff going on in your head, and yet you dialed in.
Yeah, absolutely.
What's the difference between a year ago and now?
Well, first of all, like, you analyzed us in flex, and you hit it right in the head. If I come in too small, my chest is flat and I look flat. If I come in too big, I can't control my waistline. So I'm a damned if I do and a damned if I don't. And what I did this time is I just filled out, and by moving to Vegas a year ago, I got more serious about my training. It enabled me to keep focused on what I was doing. I just made sure I was full this time.
Right. Well, I know I did my analysis of all the athletes was featured in Flex magazine, and ironically, a lot of the guys actually thanked me for sparking the the negative criticism because they used that as ammunition. I know that Dennis James went to town on some of the comments I made. You and I have had our opinions, but at the end of the day, you're better now than last year.
No, I took what you said to heart. First of all, I whatever someone criticized my physique, you know me, I'm going to use it to my advantage in marketing and promotion. So I'm always going to respond to it in the bad boy way because that's where I'm labeled. So anyway, I use it to my advantage, and I just made sure I came in on because you were right. If I'm too flat, I don't look good. I have to be full to look all right.
Rumor has it you worked a little bit with Milo Sarchev. How instrumental is he in you getting here today?
Well, here's the thing. Every show I do, the last day or two before the show, when I'm supposed to be eating my calories to fill muscle out, for some reason my mind tells me not to do it, that I'm going to spill over and be too smooth. When in all actuality, I need to do that. And Milos was right there telling me to eat that, and he made sure I got the calories in, and it worked.
How much are you weighing today?
I was 250 today, yeah.
How'd you feel about those call-outs?
I just wish I would have got Dexter. I won against Dexter. I wanted one against Dexter, but I liked it,
Well, it's interesting because it's the symmetry round, and certainly you are more known for your muscularity than your symmetry, so you still have a little bit of making up to do in the next round.
Right.
That's actually where the people are going to be able to see your improvements.
Exactly.
Rather than standing there, when you actually flex, that's where we can see the changes. Are you looking forward to this next round?
Yes, this next round. This is where I get to show what I've done because, like you said, symmetry's okay, but my muscularity is going to circumvent a lot of these.
Well, show us some of that muscularity for the fans in Australia and around the world. Mr. Craig Titus, USA Pro Champion.
Thanks, Sean.
All right, thank you.
Appreciate it, brother.
All right. We got Marcus Rule pumping up right now. He's getting ready to go out and complete his 7 mandatory poses before the next round, which is the muscularity. Marcus, how much are you weighing tonight?
I weigh 285 pounds.
285 pounds. You won the Night of Champions this year, turned around and lost to Toronto. What did that do for your motivation to get here tonight?
It was fantastic for me to win the Night of Champions because I love the city, I love the audience in New York. And so I'm very motivated to come in the top 10, maybe the top 6 this time at the Mr. Olympia.
You're one of the more popular bodybuilders, but last year you couldn't make the top 10 and the place wanted to riot. How do you feel tonight?
I hope I make the top 10. I try my best, that's all what I can do.
Okay, you flew in from Germany, you're still traveling around, you're competing a lot more often. What does the Mr. Olympia mean for you now, coming in as a champion of your first pro win?
I can't say because it's the biggest contest in my life, and my dream is one time to make the final, maybe come in the top 6. When I get this, I'm the happiest man in the world.
Can you give the fans a little sneak preview about what you're going to show these fans at the prejudging by hitting a couple shots for us?
Excuse me again?
Can you hit a couple of shots for us so we can get a sneak preview for the fans around the world?
Yeah, sure.
Go ahead. Marcus Rule, the German giant, getting ready to take the stage at the Mr. Olympia Night of Champions winner. Hello. All right, we're taking a good hard look at Australia's own little Superman Lee Priest. Coming in, Lee, what are you weighing tonight?
About 201.
You're coming back as a professional champion. You won the San Francisco Pro Show. You put Chris Cormier in his place. How's that motivated you to get here tonight?
I don't really think about it because every show is a different show, and different judges, different opinions. So, by some of those call-outs, I wouldn't really know. So,
you're one of the few bodybuilders that is also married to a female bodybuilder, Kathy Lefaswag.
Kathy. Hi, hello.
She's a French Canadian now living in Lancaster, California. Is it easier, Lee, being married and having the help of somebody that knows what it's like to be on a diet and train all the time to get to the Mr. Olympia stage?
I think so, because she understands, when you're having your good days, bad days, just due to the diet or training and the stress that you go under. You've got to train, you've got to do the cardio. So having somebody else that does that makes it a lot easier because they understand what you're going through. So compared to the average person who just thinks you're crazy and shouldn't go to the gym for so long. So
how many Olympias is this for you?
I'm not sure. Is it the 4th or 5th?
Is it as exciting as it was?
Not really. I hate them all. I hate contests.
You're notorious for not loving your diet, but yet you wind up here every year, and now you've got a new hobby. You're racing cars these days.
Yeah, I just won 2 open road races this year, and I ran into a guy yesterday who's he's a big fan of mine. He's like one of the top NHRA drag racers, and he's interested in schooling me and making me part of his team drag racing with him. So
you think that
the drag racing?
You think that's what you're going to wind up doing after bodybuilding?
I like to do both. So off season you can do with the car racing, and then contest time focus on the bodybuilding. So there's plenty of time for both. So
well, you're still one of the best in the world. You came back from a heart ailment, obviously. 110% in San Francisco. How do you feel tonight compared to San Francisco's win?
I'm probably in just the same condition, if not a little bit fuller. So I've done all I can do, so it's out of my hands now. Show
the fans back home in Australia what you look like. Hit a couple of those signature poses that only Lee Priest can hit. The Superman of bodybuilding, 205-pound Lee Priest in his 5th Mr. Olympia, trying to crack that top 6 and earn his position in this business. Thank you, Lee. Good luck tomorrow or tonight. As you can see, these guys are warming up just before they take the stage. This is what we call the holding pit. This is the last place that they are before they walk on stage, and the fans will see them do their 7 mandatory poses. You're taking a good hard look at Paco Bautista from Spain. Came on this year and qualified by getting 3rd at the Night of Champions in New York City. One of the harder, more dense bodybuilders. The knock on Paco is that he doesn't have the symmetry, but he definitely has the detail and the shape and the mass. Doesn't speak English, and he's one of those guys that's just happy to be here, no doubt, representing the country of Spain. Probably the hardest guy in the competition. He'll be going up in about 3 to 5 minutes. So that what they try to do is stretch out the muscles so that they can relax, so that when they get on stage, they don't have the nervous energy, and that their muscles actually respond once they start to flex. And if you'll notice right in front of Paco, in front of the bench press, you got Kevin Levrone laid out. He just came off stage, and he's trying to catch his breath. He was up there, he hit 7 mandatory poses, probably harder than he ever has in his bodybuilding career. And to lay down and relax and catch your breath is usually what the athletes do when they come off that stage. So if you ever wondered when they walk off stage what happens, Kevin Levrone's catching his breath, and we'll talk to him a little bit more once he does catch his breath. But going up next on the staircase, you'll see that Marcus Rule is doing a little bit of push-ups just before he goes out on stage to show the fans that he's a top 10 contender. You've got camera crews and you've got officials trying to keep some order. But backstage, it's a very quiet time right now as Tommy Thorvaldsen will be getting ready to take the stage. He gets some last-minute oil application. And who knows what's going through his mind at this time, because he's never been in this position before at his first Mr. Olympia contest, as King Kamali's coming off the stage, grabbing for water. We'll see if I can't ask him. Kamali, how was it?
Tiring.
There it is. These guys aren't very talkative after that because they spend it on the stage and they just want to go and find a quiet spot to catch their breath. Orville, you got a second. You were 6th in the Mr. Olympia last year. I did a prediction in the Mr. Olympias about breaking down some of the athletes. Some of the athletes have said that I was a little critical on them, but they use that as motivation.
Yes, I did.
How did it work for you when you read my criticism of some of the athletes and what they needed to do to improve?
I agree with most of them, so I work on the weaker parts, bottom of my arms, bottom of the definition.
How much are you weighing tonight?
I came in at 257.
Last year?
250.
And so you're one of the older bodybuilders here. I'm not going to call you old. I don't want to get beat up because Ronnie's old too, but listen, how old are you?
41.
Rumor had it that you were going to do the Masters Olympia. Instead, you came back here.
Yep.
What made the difference for you?
I just decided that I wanted a year rest to improve my body parts.
And so you think it looks good for you right now? You're about to take the stage with the 7 mandatories. You feel confident, more confident than last year?
Yes, I do.
And you were under contract. You had a sponsor last year. Bodybuilders' contracts come and go.
Okay.
What difference does it make for you in your mind trying to get here? I mean, you have to persevere.
You just do what you do because you love the sport. And if you get a contract comes along, but you got to do what you got to do.
Where are you from originally?
Originally from Jamaica.
And you're living in?
New York, Brooklyn.
And can we get a sneak preview before you hit the stage? Hit a few poses for the fans out there. Orville Burke, 41 years old, 6th place last year. He's trying to crack that top 5, 250 some odd pounds. Show us that back, Orville. One of the biggest, thickest, densest backs in the business of bodybuilding. Orville Burke out of New York. Orville Burke. Thank you, Orville. Appreciate it. Good luck. Okay. Claude Gruel from Canada. French Canadian?
Yeah. Live in Miami right now.
How many Olympias have you been in?
It's my 3rd one.
You're now down in Miami, Florida. This is your 3rd Mr. Olympia. I did a review at Flex Magazine, and a lot of the guys, you know, based on their history, obviously you're going to have some favoritism going because they're veterans of the sport.
Yeah.
What did you think of that review that I gave? I mean, in terms of, I told Art Atwood he'd just be happy to be here because it's never been here. You've been here 2 or 3 times, and constantly you've gotten better. Do you feel confident about getting a good look from the judges out there?
Well, I know that I'm in better shape than the first 2 times, and obviously I'm going to try to make my mark, but I can't tell until the prejudging is over how the judge will favor or not, or they will go fairly and judge her by fairly. But I'll tell you after prejudging, but I hope they can do a good job.
How did you qualify for the Olympia this year?
Then last year, New Zealand, after the Olympia, I finished 3rd after Ronnie and Chris.
Right. You know, it's interesting for me because sometimes, you know, you qualify for the Olympia is more exciting than actually being in the Olympia because then reality sits in. You're not only fighting against veterans and names, but you're also struggling just to get your name out there for the judges to call you out. And it's frustrating when you make improvements and the judges don't reward you for that. Is the Olympia now, your 3rd time, is it as fun for you as the first time you got here?
Well, obviously the first time was a dream come true, so the first time I was really excited.
Right.
Then 2nd time I was hoping maybe to play as a top 15, and it didn't happen the 2nd time, so I can't say it's as much excitement as like the New Zealand when I finished 3rd. I got called with Ronnie and Chris, which was really fun. It was really like something like a dream come true and more excitement. But I'm trying to make the best out of it and try to make my name slowly because I'm Canadian. Obviously, I'm not American. It's a little bit harder for a foreigner than if you had won the USA or the NPC, everybody know you already. So.
Well, it's interesting because only another professional bodybuilder can appreciate this. Getting to the Olympia, not getting the call-outs you want is a lot more frustrating than, like you said, getting compared to Ronnie Coleman and Chris Cormier. But nonetheless, you're still the best bodybuilder Canada's ever produced, and you have to keep that in mind when you're up there. I see the improvements that you're making. Your fans see the improvements that you're making. And if nothing else, all you can do at the end of the day is control the improvements that you make. What are you striving for now as a bodybuilder, knowing that you're qualified, knowing that you're one of the best in the world and the best that Canada's produced? Where does your motivation come from?
Well, I'm always trying to get better and better, and I love the sport. I love training. Even when I stopped competing, I was still trained. So for me, it's the love of it that keeps me going. And I receive a lot of email from fans from Canada, even from other countries, from Europe and everything. So that helps a little bit too for him.
How much are you weighing tonight?
228.
Show the fans around the world what you look like. Claude Gruel from Canada, now living in Miami.
Here we are with Bob Ciccarello representing
one of the best bodybuilders the Canadians have ever produced. Claude Gruel, good luck.
Thank you very much.
Okay, now we're going to be joined by the brand new Masters Olympia champion out of Arkansas, Don Youngblood, upset 5-time Masters Olympia winner Vince Taylor, and he's making his first Mr. Olympia debut. Let's see if we can catch a word with him. Don.
Hey, Sean, how you doing?
Welcome to the big leagues, baby.
Thank you.
You took the high road, man. It took you a while to get here. You've always been passionate about bodybuilding. You won the Masters Nationals. Was that in 1997?
It was 1995. I won Masters Nationals. Yeah.
95, and then I think I met you right around 96 or 97, somewhere in there, and you were talking about trying to get a special invite to compete in the Masters Championships, and they made you wait.
Yep.
And they made you wait and wait and wait, and you didn't give up. because your first Masters Olympia, where'd you place?
I placed second at the first Masters Olympia. That was 2001.
That's right. They made you wait. You came in. You got second place, a controversial second because a lot of people had you first.
Right.
You came back a year later and you actually earned the title. You get the Sandow Trophy. You get the invitation to the Mr. Olympia. What does it feel like at your age to be here with all these young guys?
Oh gosh, it's just an incredible feeling, Sean, to be up here with these guys. I mean, we're talking about the 25 best bodybuilders in the world up here today, and to be up here with them is just an honor and a privilege for a guy like me.
Well, Don, you're an entrepreneur. You have your own trucking company. You're a husband. You're a father. And compared to these guys, you know, these guys are young. A lot of these guys come here to try to make a dollar, make a buck or two, and the dream is to go on to riches and get in the magazines and all that stuff. What does it mean for you to be here?
Well, it's just a triumph for me. I mean, it's a goal in my life that I set out to try to achieve, and it wasn't for the money, it wasn't for the fame, it was just something for me. And I finally made it. I'm here. It's my day, you know.
Right. How old are you now, Don?
I'm 48.
48 years old, and I was asked an interesting question at the Weider seminar the other day. They said, what kind of toll and what price have I paid with my relationships? And over the years, I looked back and I thought, 13 Olympias for me. I've seen a lot of relationships come and go. It's a trying time to make it here. Your wife, Sue, I know she's always in your corner, and it's tough on any family, man. You're a husband and an entrepreneur. Is it different for you to make it to this point as compared to somebody that's like Bob Ciccarello's first time?
I think in a way it is, because for me, I have to run a business, I have to be a dad, a husband, I have to be a grandfather, and so it really takes a lot of time, how much time it takes to put into the sport, and then to have a life on top of that, and to hold a full-time job. I mean, it's a big deal, and so it's been a sacrifice, but it's been a passion in my life, and I just have truly enjoyed every minute of it so far.
Well, I know I talked to you a long time ago. You've been coming to my hotel room for the past few years, just the day before and the day of the contest, to watch me pose and stuff. And now we're trading places. I'm on the other end, I'm watching, and you're in it. Tell me, you're in the room, you're putting the oil on, you're carbing up, and you're posing every day. You come backstage. Is it everything that you thought it would be? Because you won the Masters Olympia, and that had to be one of your career highs. And now you're backstage. Is it everything that you thought it would, or is it kind of anticlimactic for you?
Well, it's a little both, actually. I mean, it's everything and more than I thought it would be, but it's almost like I'm not sure I can put into words what I want to say, but it's almost anticlimactic. You know what I'm saying?
Sure.
And it's like I'm here, but it just hasn't sunk in yet.
Yeah. And you know what? It never does until you actually are eating a pizza or drinking a beer and you're sitting there fat and happy looking at videos and pictures. Don, welcome to the big time. You're 48 years old. You had a great run at the training, and you've overcome a lot of obstacles to get here. Only I can really truly appreciate it, because I know where you came from and what it means to you. So we're going to wish you all the best. Can you show the fans a couple of shots before tonight's show?
Let's
back up a little bit. Don Youngblood, 48 years young, Masters Olympia champion, his first Mr. Olympia contest. A father, a husband, a grandfather, entrepreneur, one of the true gentlemen of the sport. Good luck, Don. All right. Thank you. Okay, another aspect of the backstage scene is these athletes, just before they go on stage, get assistance from some of the handlers back here. There's Tony D, who's one of the expediters, making sure that the oil application is right, because there's television lights out there and video lights, and some of the guys can't always see themselves accurately with the right kind of lighting. So she's got to do the legs, she's got to do the dirty work, but she's been doing it for years. She's an expert. And we're looking at one of the new guys on the pro scene, actually qualified for the Olympia by knocking Kevin Levrone off in Australia to get here. And I don't want to butcher his name, so I'm going to wait till he turns around to get an accurate pronunciation of his name. But again, there's a lot of firsts. We've got a few guys that are very raw and very new to this. It's not that they're new to training and competing, but here's a veteran, Kevin Levrone, the Maryland Muscle Machine. Kevin, I wanted to give you a second up there to catch your breath. You just did some, you look like you probably posed harder than you ever have in your life doing those mandatory poses. July 20th at the Muscle Camp here in Las Vegas, you were 219 pounds. How much are you now, only 6-7 weeks later?
Actually, Sean, I weighed in this morning. I got on the scales, I was 244.
6 weeks ago, you were guest posing at your show that I emceed. You were 260 pounds, so it's amazing the way that your body transforms. Ronnie said you weren't one of those bodybuilders that trains year-round, but yet what you do works for you. You're the winningest pro bodybuilder in the history of the sport. You've been first runner-up 3 different years. Last year you were 3rd place, and you weren't happy with that. You did the Arnold Classic, and you dropped to 5th, and you went to Australia, and you dropped to 5th, and you had a hernia operation, took over gym ownership. I know your life story better than you know it. How in the hell do you do it? How did you wind up here?
Sean, I mean, you know, we were speaking earlier, Flex, and we were back in the dressing room talking. It's just about the faith of God, man. I put 100% faith in God because, you know, what I did, I couldn't have did it on my own. You know, I tried last year just training with the hernia, and it just wasn't working. And I went to Australia because I'm a competitor. I like competing, but you know, I lost. I placed very, very low, and you know, my career, my name, and everything, it was just on the line coming into this Mr. Olympia. So I had to reach for a higher power, man, and turn things over to God and put my faith in His hands. And I knew I was going to have surgery, but I also knew that I had to do all that I could possibly think of doing to be in this show in the best condition that I possibly could prepare for, and everything fell in place for me.
Well, it's amazing the way that God works and comes into people's lives. Sometimes we take things for granted, that because we work hard, we deserve certain things. And you have a totally different perspective after being humbled in Australia, getting beat at a show that you won twice or 3 times, the Arnold Classic. At 37 years old, do you see this contest from a different perspective as you did back when you were younger?
The perspective that I see it now, Sean, is definitely, I mean, it's definitely different. You know, I was so serious back then in chasing that trophy and that title of being Mr. Olympia, and I completely forgot of it. You know, it takes a lot more than that. It takes you have to be a personal, loving, caring person, willing to give up your career for you know, for success. Success isn't always winning and money and how much money you have, and my priorities were just screwed up at the time. Like so many other athletes, you know, so many opportunities just thrown at us. Sure. And we think success is just a dollar and a big contract and a title, when it's not, you know. And I mean, I've learned through 11 years now that these guys, I mean, we're all family here, man. And me being on stage and looking out, seeing your support from myself and the other veterans up there, it means a lot. You know, you can dig down, you can grunt it out. Sure. And this is you know, we've all learned our lessons through the road and through the years of competing, and we all be humbled from losses and you know, great losses and sacrifices.
What a difference a year can make. I mean, I got engaged. You told me earlier that you were trying to work things out with your ex-wife. Certainly at 37 years old, life takes on a different meaning.
Man. Absolutely. You know, you just, you know, you realize what's important, and what's important is family and having a close personal relationship with God and understand who He is. Because there's so many kids out there who look up to us top athletes, and we have to guide them in the right position. And we can't do it if we hang out, you know, and live a double-sided life. So.
Well, I'm going to give you all the props and also the glory to God. You looked great up there. Can you show the fans real quick what you look like? I know you got a couple left in you for all your fans, the Kevin Levrone fans. The Maryland Muscle Machine, the winningest pro bodybuilder in the history of this sport. 3-time first runner-up at the Olympia, coming off a 3rd place from last year. 245 pounds. Getting ready to try to go up there and do it again. Thanks, Kevin. Good job and good luck. Speaking of comebacks and taking time off and getting life in perspective, Flex Wheeler's last appearance here in Las Vegas at the Mr. Olympia was in the year 2000. Placed 3rd place, took 2 years off. He's a father of 4. Been married, just celebrated his 5-year anniversary to his wife, Madeline. Has 2 grandchildren, 37 years old this past August. You're not 38. You're 38? I just found that out. Flex is a year older than me, 38 years old. Flex decided to make a comeback. I'm 37. 65, yeah. All right, now that we know, okay. Anyways, act like we're not here. Tony's putting on some last-minute oil before Flex takes the stage. Flex is an interesting read. You know, he's one of those bodybuilders that gets really close to the action, very emotional, But bodybuilding for him is one of those things that, you know, it's a labor of love. He loves the fact that he's one of the greatest in the world, but it's very hard to fall in love with the way you have to get here. And he's made the announcement that he's actually competing drug-free this year, something that no bodybuilder in recent years has publicly announced. But at 225 pounds, Flex Wheeler is about to step on the stage after a 2-year layoff. And he's, well, let's find out how he's feeling. Flex, after 2 years out of the game, are you nervous?
No, not really nervous. I was nervous getting ready, just being unsure what it felt like. It'd been 2 years, but once it got closer, I got less and less nervous. And now that I'm here, I'm not nervous anymore, just more or less just excited to even, you know, be able to be back up here with the best in the world. And, you know, that's exciting for me, so no.
Well, it's interesting. I just talked to Kevin Levrone, and he said that the power of God is what got him here. And I know that you were a born-again Christian. What role does it play for you to get here? Because I know you had to dig deep after a 2-year layoff. You were very comfortable and very small. How much you weighing tonight, and what role did that play?
I'm not sure how much I'm weighing. I would probably say like in the mid-20s, somewhere around there. But definitely my Christianity played a big role on me exiting this sport, because me personally, I didn't feel that I could be able to compete utilizing certain supplements that I've used before in the past of competing. But through the course of just getting to know myself and getting closer to Christ, I just felt that, you know, I wasn't able to be able to come back and compete 100% naturally. So I haven't used any sports supplements or illegal supplements of steroids or diuretics or anything like that of any source for the last 2 years. So I just wanted to kind of show people that, you know, it was never really me. It was never really the drugs in the first place. It was always through the grace of Christ that I was able to do that, and just show kids that, man, don't give up on our sport just because you don't want to go out and use that type of stuff. I'm not condemning anyone who does or whatnot. You know, they're grown men, and, you know, we've all will do what we want to do, but this is my choice, and I'm putting my Christ first and my children and my family, and this is now what I'm prepared to do to look the way I am, and I'm really happy with the results.
Well, speaking of the results, how did you feel up there with the call-outs? I mean, you're one of the bodybuilders that's got the best symmetry, the best genetics in the history of the sport, and you're coming back after 2 years. Did you get the kind of call-outs that you were expecting?
No, I didn't know. Honestly, no, I didn't. But I think, for one, you know, these guys have been here for the last 2 years. I haven't. And they've been establishing themselves for the last 2 years, and I haven't. And I understand now, and I was understanding while I was on stage, that I have to re-establish myself all over again. It's no longer the name of myself before I get to a contest that's powerful. I have to bring back to the stage what made all that happen in the first place. So I'm really actually looking forward to the second round because my condition and my muscularity, that might move me up a little bit, and then they'll have to stand and take notice with me and everything. So I'm not really disappointed, but, you know, I'm very much aware that it's a fight. But you know what, the biggest thing I prayed for is just to be able to accept, no matter what happens tonight, that I could accept it and be happy with that in Christ. And I was able to make peace with myself up there on stage, which got rid of all my nerve endings. I was going nuts, and now I'm just ready to go out there, man, and just display and just, you know, just gleam and be happy and remember the whole reason why I came back in the first place.
Well, Flex, I witnessed the comeback. You're very humble now, and you also seem to be very grounded, and certainly that God is working in wonderful ways for you. Can you give these guys a glimpse of what we have to expect from you? Hit a couple of shots for your fans. One of the greatest bodybuilders to ever grace the posing stage, Flex Wheeler, about to take a giant leap of faith after a 2-year layoff at the 2002 Mr. Olympia. Thank you. Good luck. When I was pointing to you, I was just trying to highlight your intercostals were very tight. And Jen, what's this that you're putting on him?
Actually, I'm airbrushing his tan. I'm putting a little additional color on him. He came in for the last 2 days. I've airbrushed him. It only takes about 10 minutes. And if you can see, his color is totally flawless.
Right. Jan Tana is backstage working on the guy's color and the oil. She has her own product. She's actually promotes and puts on the Masters Olympia and the Jan Tana bodybuilding and fitness competition. But this is another aspect that takes place backstage that highlights and gives a little bit more color and richness to the skin.
This blows out the pro tan. This is doesn't come off on your clothes. You just spray it on, and this is a great invention. I'm glad she brought it to the sport, because we needed this, man. You know?
Yeah.
Endless bottles and bottles and bottles of protein when all you need to do is just hire Jantan.
How long does that last, Jen?
Actually, when I put it on, it's a bronzer, immediate bronzer, and it keeps getting darker and darker for 5 hours. So he has on a couple applications now, and it's the Jantan Show Tan. It's actually a formula I invented for the movie industry about 7 years ago. Arnold Schwarzenegger's makeup artist asked me to come up with something that they could use in the movie industry to tan a lot of people at once. So I did, and then about 2 months ago, I was on the set with Arnold in Terminator 3, and I'm like, you know what? I invented the product for them to use, and they're airbrushing to make their life easier. I need something to make my life easier and make the competitors color better.
Well, how can the people out there get it if they're an amateur bodybuilder? Will this be available on a smaller scale? I know this is Olympia. Is there a website or somewhere that they can actually get a hold of the bronzer?
Yeah, it's www.jantana.com or 1-800-JANTANA. And it's the Jantana Show Tan, and we have it in a spray for competitors to use. And I also sell the airbrushes and the compressors, so you can actually buy this and do it at home.
Well, there you go. Spoken from the inventor, promoter extraordinaire, coloring expert, Jantana.
George.
Just another aspect of what goes on backstage as the athletes try to find deep within themselves enough motivation to get back up there and pose and flex on stage. Kevin's going to go back on stage in round 2, which is the muscularity round, and he'll have to flex and pose the 7 mandatory poses. He's already completed the symmetry round, and he's already completed the compulsory round, which is the 7 mandatories. Up next will be the muscularity, where they'll call out all the bodybuilders 3 at a time and compare and contrast the 7 muscularities. So in between the individuals up on stage doing the compulsories, the backstage action, they're brushing up their tans, getting their mindset straight for the all-important first, second, and third call-outs in the muscularity round.
You go, girl.
And our number 2 competitor, stretched out on the floor all the way from Jacksonville, Dexter the Blade Jackson. He's already completed his compulsory poses, 7 of them, and he's actually patiently waiting while everyone else continues theirs. And in between, there's probably about a half hour, 40 minutes. So really, the athletes don't have anything to do until about 5 or 10 minutes before they round up and they go back out for the muscularity round. So pretty much the best thing to do is just to relax. And Dexter's taking it to the next level in terms of relaxing. Dexter, how much are you weighing tonight?
I don't know, Sean, probably around 217.
You took pretty much the year off. I mean, I criticized you before for doing every show, and you said to me that you had to establish your name and you had to get your face out there. I think you've done that. Last year, you were what place?
I was 8th last year.
8th place in the Olympia. A lot of people had you in the top 6. As a matter of fact, I got a lot of emails and letters saying that you were going to take my place as I sit on the sidelines and watch, which you know is easily accomplishable by seeing you today. How do you feel about your condition compared to last year?
I feel I'm in the best condition of my life, to be exact. The Arnold was probably the best overall package. I wouldn't say the best condition, but the overall package that I showed since I've been a professional bodybuilder. I say this show right here is far much better than the Arnold. So.
Okay, I'm gonna see if I can get you to sit up for a second so the fans can see what you're looking like. I know how much it takes to get out those 7 mandatory poses, because the fans, I don't think, really understand how hard it is when you flex up there. You can stand up. You're married, you got kids, you live in Jacksonville, which is not the bodybuilding capital of the world, but you're along the lines of a flex wheeler and myself. At 5'7", how much you're 200? How much?
217 pounds.
217 pounds. What do you think about the Mr. Olympia after your 8th place last year, and people criticize the fact that they're going towards the mass monsters? Does that affect your training, trying to get here to the Mr. Olympia, or do you just ignore it and do the best you can do?
I just ignore it. Like you said before, I needed a break from competing in so many shows, and that was the best advice I ever got from someone. And I took that advice, and I just took like 3 months off away from the gym, just relaxed. And my body just felt so much better from doing that.
Right.
And I took a full recovery. My body had a full recovery. And when I started dieting for this show, so I'll say I had about 7 months, you know, to have off before I started dieting to prepare for the show. So when I did that, when I started my diet, my physique just, my metabolism was just crazy. I mean, when I was in the 5th week of my diet, I was ready to step on stage. So I had to up my carbs and all this stuff just to make sure I don't drop any weight.
Well, I get emails from a lot of people and letters that taking time off is what they're afraid of. I'm one of those guys that always takes time off after the Olympia. Kevin Levrone, you know, he just got done giving us an exclusive interview about the fact that he took time out. He found God again, got his life in perspective. He's actually trying to work out his marriage with his ex-wife. Taking that time off, is it the best thing that you ever done? Do you recommend it to other people, or sometimes do you get so close to the action that you don't find a way to improve because you're so close to the bodybuilding shows?
I do recommend it. I mean, don't get me wrong, I can do every show if I want to because I only train 3 days a week. Right. You know, a lot of people be in the gym, you know, 6-7 days a week, and my diet is just, you know, I don't have to diet like everybody. I don't have to do no cardio, no ab work, so I'm pretty much blessed with genetics. I could do every show if I want to, but like I said before, I'm getting at that level now where I need to take a step back and take this thing slowly and let my body heal between shows, which was the, you know, great advice coming from you, and I took that advice, and thanks a lot for giving me that advice.
Do you think that with time and learning your own body as an experienced bodybuilder that you can actually get away with more to become better by doing less? Because as an amateur, we train 6 days a week, we never miss a meal, we never skip a workout, but I find that by taking the time off, not only do I feel better mentally, but also physically, and then when I come back, I'm even more excited. You said you train 3 days a week. I think the fans out there will probably be shocked to see your body, the way that it is, built on 3 days a week, and then you gradually intensify it as the show gets closer.
No, I mean, I keep it the same, 3 days a week, all the way up to the show. I train heavy, all the way up to the show. I don't, you know, only thing I do differently is when I start my diet, I cut my time down between sets. So it's like I'm doing a little cardio because I'm gonna cut my time way back, 30 seconds versus a minute and 15 seconds or whatever.
Well, Dexter, I was out there in the front row watching as a fan for the first time in 13 years, and I have you in the top 6. There's no question you're one of the top 6 bodybuilders in the world. Can you show the fans real quick what they have to look forward to from Dexter Jackson trying to come back and break that top 6?
Sure.
Out of Jacksonville, Florida, North American bodybuilding champion, seasoned veteran professional, 217 pounds, Dexter the Blade Jackson, ready to do battle, the 2002 Olympia. Thanks, baby. Good luck. Okay, right on. One of the bodybuilders I said is blessed with very good genetics. One of the bodybuilders I said that this is the look that we need to actually get back to as a bodybuilding sport, because the beauty, the pageantry, the symmetry, and the artistry of bodybuilding has been taken away from where I sit. Ahmad, you give hope to symmetry, shape, and balance. Tell the people where you're from and how you wound up here at the Mr. Olympia for your first time.
Second time.
Second time.
Yeah. I'm from Lebanon. I live in Florida now, in Pompano Beach, Florida. I came first time to Mr. Olympia in '98 in New York. I placed 16.
Great.
And this is second time for me here. I qualify from Arnold Classic. I get 6th place in Arnold Classic. This year I get 4th place in the Ironman and 4th place in San Francisco.
How much are you weighing tonight?
225.
You're 225 pounds. You're from Lebanon. I know Samir Banu spoke very highly of you. I didn't know who you were. I think he actually introduced us. And you're known for your abs. Your abs are one of the best in the business. As a matter of fact, they're so good that Muscle and Fitness made an actual cover with just your ab shots on it. Do you do something special for them?
I work out all the time, almost every day, because I teach abs class in the gym where I work out in. So I work them every day. And you know, it's plus genetics probably, and diet.
Well, I asked a couple of bodybuilders earlier, this is your second Olympia. Is it as good as your first? Because we got 4 years have passed and you've been spending those 4 years trying to requalify to get back here. You're here. You're one of 2 Lebanese bodybuilders that are actually here. Tell me what it means to you, because you're actually not just representing yourself. You've got a whole country of people back home that are cheering for you, and you're one of the top bodybuilders in the world. What does it mean for you to actually be here at the Olympia?
It's mean too much for me. To be in Mr. Olympia, it's a big deal. So since I started working out, this is my goal, to be in Mr. Olympia. So when I came first time to Mr. Olympia in '98, I had no idea how to prepare good for Mr. Olympia. So I came from amateur to professional right away to Mr. Olympia.
Right.
Because I won 1997 World Championship and overall. That's how I qualified to Mr. Olympia. So then I moved to Florida 3 years ago. I started working out here. So I collect some ideas how to work better, to be good. It's very important for me and for all the bodybuilders to compete in Mr. Olympia because this is a really big deal. And everybody is waiting for me in my countries to see what I'm doing here.
Well, we're waiting to see what you look like. Can you hit a few shots for us really quick before you get up there and can do battle with the Giants? Ahmad Hader from Lebanon, living now in Florida, 225 pounds. Got here by placing 6th place at the Arnold Classic. 5'6", known for his balance and symmetry and proportion. Representing a whole country of bodybuilders back home in Lebanon, now living in the United States. All right, now we got Chris Cormier, the real deal of bodybuilding. Chris, I commentated last year's Arnold Classic, or this year's Arnold Classic, and I had you winning over Jay Cutler, who got 2nd place at this contest last year. But prior to last year's show, I said you were going to come in too heavy and too smooth, which by your standards you were. You got 5th place last year. You bared down, you bit the bullet, you got 2nd at the Arnold, you won the Pro Ironman, you went over to San Francisco, didn't train as much for it, and Lee Priest snuck in there and you gave him a big name. He says that you were at your all-time best.
No, actually, I mean, I've been on a tour a long time. I've been competing, and I got more experience than a lot of the guys here. I did like 5 shows in a row, and I'm not going to be able to be 100% on 5 shows in a row. I purposely is sort of not put all of my, keeping myself totally dried out the whole time for 5 weeks straight on purpose. I purposely kind of slow up in the middle and kind of charge it down a little bit harder at the end, hoping that I'll be able to be hard enough to keep a win in. Right. He, on the other hand, had that was his last show, and he went balls to the wall.
Right, so he caught you sleeping. And since that time, you went into the Arnold Classic, you got 2nd place, you went on after the San Francisco show, and you won the Australian, didn't you? Yeah. And then you took some time off, and you even said at the press conference yesterday that you had some personal issues, but it doesn't look like any of that stuff has affected you, because on that stage tonight, right now, after what I saw, you're definitely top 3. How do you feel right now?
I feel good. I was more focused at this show more than any time other in my career, in my opinion. I just sort of look, when you sort of do show after show, you sort of forget some of the A, B's, and C's, so to speak, what it takes to be in top shape. And I just sort of went back to the drawing board and just remembered all the little things that got me hard or in great condition, from day one. And that's drinking my water, keeping my water constantly, keeping myself hydrated constantly, and keeping my cardio religiously doing it twice a day. I bumped it up to 2 hours a day.
How much are you weighing today?
253 today.
Give the fans a little preview before you get up on stage and rock the house, what you're looking like. The real deal from Palm Springs, California, now living in Venice, ready to battle it out with Ronnie Coleman and Flex Wheeler and Dennis James. Good luck, Chris. They're getting ready to start lining up to come back out for the compulsory, or the mandatory comparison poses. And there's some nervous energy in the air. Flex Wheeler stepping back on stage after 2 years, said he was nervous and he was humbled. And he's natural, and he stands by that. And the crowd's letting him have it in terms of support as he continues to try to reinvent himself. Born-again Christian, father of 4, grandfather of 2, and one of the winningest bodybuilders behind Kevin Levrone. Flex has placed 2nd place in this contest 3 different times, won the Arnold Classic 4 times, won the Ironman 5 times. As they begin to line up, things are starting to heat up backstage. Dexter Jackson doing a little bit of last-minute warming up, trying to find something to cut the tension back here. You've got 25 bodybuilders, all averaging about 230 to 240 pounds, getting some last-minute warming up. And they know that at this time, they're going to be compared with each other. And what's going through their minds is, did I do everything I can do? And they probably wonder who they're going to be compared with and how the call-outs are going to go. So they're trying to pump up for that last-minute adrenaline rush to get the blood into the muscles and get the veins to the surface. Some are doing push-ups. Some are doing curls for the arms. Nobody's flexing their legs because they don't want to fill their legs too much with blood until they're on stage. And as you'll notice, we have a paramedic here. They have a tendency to bring some oxygen backstage because sometimes it's hard to breathe with the oil and with the sprays in the air and the hot lights and no water and a lot of anxiety. Sometimes you need oxygen, fresh oxygen, 100% oxygen. So the Mandalay Bay provides a paramedic on staff, and the oxygen helps them catch their bearings because there's a lot of nerves and tension, as well as the bright lights and flexing so hard. So we have Flex Wheeler just getting some last-minute oxygen, which is a normal occurrence here backstage. Some of the guys need a little extra. So no need for alarm. The paramedics are here to assist, and the athletes appreciate that support. Unfortunately, they don't have enough oxygen masks for everyone, or all of us would be on oxygen.
Fellas, when we go out this time, everybody just turn sideways a little bit, fellas. We get everybody on the stage this time. So I don't want everybody standing face front. Turn at the angle.
Oh, I hear you. Okay. As you notice, we got Lee pumping up, about to take the stage. He's got his Superman tattoo going on. One of the shorter bodybuilders with the biggest set of arms in the business. He's known for his arms, he's known for his legs, and now he's got a new tattoo on his back of his neck. Tattoos are becoming fashionable. He's got his name tattooed in there with some kind of design. Look at Lee, the new Lee priest. The new Lee priest with the tattoos. I got one too, so seems like tattoos are fashionable. We've got Chris Cormier and Claude Gruel. These guys are going to go up on past that curtain, and as they get out there, they're going to be going out for their compulsory poses, 3 at a time. And the idea right now is to hopefully get called out early and often. Usually the first 3 set the tone, and those usually are the biggest names in the sport. And then actually the cream will start to rise to the top. This is the round that you'll find out who's in condition and who's not. And the first time the judges will actually see these guys standing together hitting the 7 mandatory poses. So this is really where the contest is won and lost. And this is the last chance we'll get to see these guys as they head off into round 2, and they'll come back tonight for the round 3, which is the posing presentation. And they'll finish up with the pose down, and there'll be 6 standing. And of those 6, one person will leave with $110,000 and a brand new Cadillac Escalade. And we'll have the 2002 Mr. Olympia champion in a few hours. Okay, we're joined by one of the greats of bodybuilding, Nasser El Sombaty. Nasser, prejudging is just concluded. How do you feel?
Actually, Sean, I'm telling you honestly the truth, I'm extremely disappointed. It's maybe even possible that I'm not even top 10, but I'm really surprised about that because I thought I came in a good packaging with size and also with shape. I think I looked better than last year. My scar tissue out of the right shoulder is rubbed out, so no central scar tissue. I had people worked on that for 3 months, and I think really that some people, as usual, shouldn't have been placed there where they are placed, and some people have been really out of shape, and I had the impression some people have been even fat on stage. But I think this is probably my biggest Mr. Olympia disaster ever.
What do you think? I mean, because you're obviously better than last year. I saw you last year. You were 9th place, and again at the Arnold Classic, you were 10th. And I thought maybe you needed some time off. I made that comment because I know what time off has done for me. I see what it's done for some of the other bodybuilders. Linda Murray took 5 years off, came back and won last night. But obviously, tonight, you're way better than you were at the Arnold, and you were way better than you were last year. Do you think they're holding something against you, or are they trying to take it to a different direction, or is there something that you can do actually to get their attention again?
I definitely, Sean, think that I'm one of the few bodybuilders who gets the harshest judgment of all of the bodybuilders together. This is not just to find an excuse, it's just experience over the last couple of years. They always expect something extra, something special from me. And when you ask the judge what was wrong, you can ask 8 of 10 judges, and from these 8 judges you can get 6 to 7 different answers. They probably will say something, but on the other side, I seriously doubt it's really relevant, and what was the point that I am probably finishing tonight that low.
Well, if it means anything, Nasser, I know that you're still one of the most popular bodybuilders on the planet. Obviously, they may be trying to go a different direction, but Joe Weider has you under contract. You're still making appearances. All you can do is what you've been doing, and that's continuing trying to be the best bodybuilder you can be.
Sean, thank you very much, but it's not only to have a salary, income, it's also about placement. It's pretty harsh to be 3 times top, 4 times top 3, and to drop, and you never know what really the reason is. So for sure, social, financial security is very important, but on the other side, I like still to place higher. And I've ready to think about it, but what's happening tonight.
Well, whichever way your career goes after tonight, realize that there's still thousands, maybe even millions of fans out there cheering for you. So please give a great performance tonight, and don't let the judges take the fun out of bodybuilding for you.
Thank you, Sean.
Okay, good luck. We got Ronnie Coleman fresh from the prejudging round 2, the muscularity comparison round, where they actually call out the 3 guys and they're forced to hit the 7 mandatory poses. Ronnie, I'm gonna give you a second to catch your breath, but you made it look easy up there. Actually, it looked like it was easier this year than it was last year. What do you attribute that to? Is it your confidence, or is it the fact that you're just in better shape because you're lighter?
I'm in better shape because I'm lighter, because you told me I need to be 10 pounds lighter, so I know you know all about bodybuilding. You've been around. I listen to what y'all be saying, so I came in lighter and did what I had to do.
Did you think that helped you coming in lighter? Because you look significantly different.
I know it helped. I mean, everybody was telling me, hey, it's pretty much over with, you know.
Yeah.
You did your homework. You came in lighter. You came in shredded. You got your waist and your shoulder width together.
You did that one time before when you went and won the Arnold Classic, didn't you?
Of course, yeah. I came in pretty much just like I did the Arnold Classic. Same weight, same everything.
So do you realize that you're probably a better bodybuilder, more complete at a lighter body weight of 250, if you can call that light, than you are at 260?
Much better. You know it and I know it.
Okay, well next year try to come in at 265, because I'm going to try to make a comeback. But you know, it's almost unfair to some of the competitors as far as we stand, because we're trying to figure out how much longer you're going to compete before we can actually try to get that title, because it looks like you can win this thing for another 4 or 5 years. Are you going to go after Lee Haney's record?
It's like this, Sean. I love to go after Lee Haney's record, but I get all my inspiration, all my determination, my dedication. All it comes from God. And as long as God wants me to be around here to represent the sport, bodybuilding, and uplift His word by, you know, putting me in the spotlight, then hey, I'll be here.
Well, if it means anything, whatever criticisms I had about you last year competing too heavy, you've corrected all of those mistakes, man, and you came out smoking today. I think you got this contest for your 5th win in a row.
Well, it's like this. Like I said, I listen to all the negative comments, and I take that in the heart. I don't hold no grudges against nobody. Everybody got their own opinion. It's up to me to go out and either correct from what the criticism is, or get worse or get better. And of course, you know, you always give constructive criticism. It's good, so I got better.
Spoken like a true champion, Ronnie Coleman, Mr. Olympia, going for number 5 tonight. Good luck. All right, I'm joined backstage here with Gustavo Bedell right after the prejudging. Gustavo, you're from Puerto Rico?
Yes.
You still live in Puerto Rico?
Yes, San Juan.
How did you wind up qualifying for the Mr. Olympia?
I did 3rd place in Canada in Toronto Pro Cup last June.
This is your first Mr. Olympia contest?
Yeah, it's my first.
How does it feel?
Well, enjoying how much I can, because this is great, you know. It is a great honor to be here with the great bodybuilders in the world. For me, it's like a dream come true. For me, it's like I'm the winner.
Yeah, I've been asking some of the guys, does it compare, like, you know, you qualified for your first Olympia getting 3rd place?
Yeah.
And you had to be beside yourself. Does it feel as exciting as when you qualified as it is now that you are actually here?
Well, it's different. It's different feelings, because when you did 3rd place, I go to Olympia. Yeah. But I don't know what's the Olympia. I had to go to Olympia to see what's the Olympia. I had to see another show, another guys, the best guys in the world. So it's different, but you're learning. It's a part of the sport.
My first Olympia, I was 13th place. I think I got maybe 1 or 2 call-outs. And when it was all over, you know, while I was going through that, I couldn't stand it because I'm a competitor. I wanted to fight, you know.
Yeah.
But when it was over, I realized I had the best seat in the house, and I was up there with Lee Haney and Rich Gaspari and Lila Brada. And then I used that as motivation that the next time I come back, I'll be 5 times as better and more prepared to actually compete. So my first Olympia, I was 13th, and then 12 years in a row, never placed out of the top 10. Do you think this is a learning experience for you?
Yeah, actually, this is my first time in the Olympia. I'm 29 years old. I'm a fighter. So this is my first, but this is not gonna be my last. I'm gonna work hard, really hard, and I'm gonna try to be here the next year because I believe that I got great potential, I got great balance, great symmetry. I need more, know better my body to be picked at the show because compared with this guy, they're all good pro. So I'm learning a lot, but I'm gonna working hard. I'm gonna be here next year, or I'm gonna try harder.
So let me ask you: are you the best Puerto Rican bodybuilder ever? Since you're the first Puerto Rican native here.
Yeah, I'm the only professional from Puerto Rico, and the only Latino since Sergio Oliva. So we're talking about 30 years ago, and I'm very excited, you know, because all Latino in the States call me, and you know, this for Latinos is very exciting.
Yeah.
I'm the only one.
Like Tito Trinidad.
Yeah, like Tito Trinidad.
But my grandfather on my mother's side, who passed away when she was only 2, was Puerto Rican. So it's all good.
Thank you.
Show the fans what you're looking like. How much did you weigh tonight?
Right now, 235, 234. Okay. But I think I had to try to change my body a little lighter, but a more quality muscle. That's what I need. I got great size because I'm 5'7" too. I'm not too tall, and I'm gonna working hard in that.
My first Olympia experience, what I came away with was an experience. I learned a lot of mistakes from that first Olympia, and you only have very few firsts in life. Yeah. And from this first Olympia, try to enjoy yourself tonight and give the fans their money's worth, because you are the best Puerto Rican bodybuilder ever, and that says a lot for you. Can you show your fans what you look like? Hit a few shots for us?
Sure.
Gustavo Bedell, Puerto Rican bodybuilding champion, representing his first Olympia. Good luck. All right, I'm joined with one of the biggest bodybuilders to ever step on the stage here at the Mr. Olympia, all the way from Germany, now living out in California. Gunther, you heard the crowd. You got the call-outs. How do you feel about this year as compared to last year?
I feel great right now. For me, I cannot believe that that actually finally happened. That I get the feeling I can enter in the top 10, and I'm ready to rumble. I want it bad.
Well, last year you weren't in the top 10, and there were a lot of people complaining, trying to figure out what do you have to do to break the top 10. Is that your goal as far as the Olympia when you come here, just to like take it each year at a time and try to break the top 10 and then move up?
I actually, for me was definitely to make the top 10. You know, I think if you once enter there, you can also get once in a while more time off instead competing like 3 times a year, and you know how that is. Every diet is really tiring, and you cannot really can make good gains and stuff like that, and work really on your weaknesses. If you have to go off for a while and then all of a sudden you have to go in the next diet.
Sure. How much are you weighing tonight?
Actually, I was 299, and I missed a quarter to 300. Mm-hmm. If you give me the quarter, then I'm 300.
Tonight you will be 300.
Oh yeah.
Now, I was asking some of the guys. Some of the guys are married, and they find it a little difficult trying to get to the Olympia. You've been married your bodybuilding career. Yeah. How does that work to your advantage, if at any at all?
Of course. I mean, I try to make it for my wife as easy as possible. Of course. I mean, if it comes to Olympia, an important show, she's right with me. In the last 3 weeks or 4 weeks, I really kind of try to tell her a little bit, okay, now you have to give me a little bit more support, but she does it for herself, and she knows what's behind it, because that's how I make it right now more living.
Well, you're one of the few guys, one of the lucky guys, to actually leave your hometown of Germany, come over to USA, live the American dream, get a house, get the Porsche, get the horses, and get on the cover of the magazines, and now you're doing commercials and TV work, and here at the Mr. Olympia. I mean, is this how you saw it taking place when you first started bodybuilding?
You know what, for me, I was 16 years old when I saw the first videos about Mr. Olympia, and I just said, I want to be one day up there. And for me, it was the whole time a dream. When I was for a long time in Germany, until like I was 26, 27, before I came over here, I almost thought I would never make it. But then finally I said 1 year, okay, this year I have to do everything to get over here. And I started out in New Jersey. It wasn't really fun, and I thought almost, oh my God, I have to go back and do something else. But then when I talked to Joe Weider, actually, I mean, mean, I have to thank him for a lot. I mean, he's my greatest support, and he keeps pushing me, and he said, you know, train hard, make sure this and this, and he treats me really well, and that is actually the biggest help I had here in the United States, and I'm thankful for that. And of course, I met some good trainers, Charles Glass, Chad Nichols, and they brought me up here today in this kind of condition, yeah.
Well, you're here, you're living your dream. Yeah. There's only one more favor I have to ask. Show the fans what you look like before tonight when you go out there and rock and roll. We're all pulling for you to make the top 10. Give them a little glimpse of what you look like. Show us something. I know you're eating cookies right now and you got more food waiting for you, but it's not over. It never ends, not until you're at home in bed. Gunther Schlierkamp, 299 pounds, looking to break into the top 10 for the first time in his career here at the Mr. Olympia in Las Vegas. Trained and helped with Charles Glass, Chad Nichols, and his biggest supporter, Joe Weider, Weider-sponsored athlete, doing TV, commercials, moving on to the films. Gunther Schlierkamp. All right, baby, good luck. Okay, I'm joined with Kevin Levrone. The prejudging is finished. A lot of the fans back home don't know where you go from here. You know, what happens in between the prejudging. You were called out there with Chris Cormier and Ronnie Coleman, and from where I was sitting, you're fighting it out with Ronnie Coleman, not with Chris Cormier. That's a dramatic change from last year. In terms, you seemed like you were a lot more confident up on stage. You seemed a little bit more at ease with yourself. What do you do between now and the night show to try to make up points against Ronnie Coleman if he's the guy that's ahead of you at this point?
Well, if he is the guy that's ahead of me, either or, my thing is coming back and putting on the show. I think the posing round is definitely one of my stronger rounds, as well as the free, the free muscularity posing round as well. I enjoy performing for a crowd, Sean, and that fires me up, man. When my name's announced and I hear, hey, Kevin Levrone, and it just fires me up. I look forward to the posing at night, man. That's what it's all about, and I think I'm going to come out very strong and definitely give it all that's there. You know what I mean? So I don't have a doubt in that round at all.
All right. Well, I know you're hungry, I know you're tired, I know you're thirsty. So get your rest and good luck tonight.
Thanks, brother.
All right. Did Gunther get out of here? This is a contradiction, and this picture shows a lot. We got the head judge here, Jim Mannion. Last year I made a big point and a big issue, Jim, about trying to get the rotation of the judges and having the judges sign their names to the score sheet. We noticed that the judges are signing their names, and I also noticed a fresh panel of judges. How is that going to impact tonight's outcome, if at all?
Well, I think you watched the show. I think you did, as much as we did. The impact of the show looks like a lot of the same guys from last year up in the top. It doesn't take a genius to figure out from the calls.
Right.
It's kind of the same group up there, the Ronnies, the Kevins, the Chris, the Dexters, the Priests. So they're still at the top of the pack. It's just a matter of where they're going to place in the top of the pack.
Right.
And we've had some few new guys come in that look good. And as far as the rotation of the judges, yes, we do rotate the judges much. Even though you don't want to believe that, we only have 55 judges to work with.
Right.
This year I actually had 7 judges who never judged at Mr. Olympia before, and 4 who haven't judged in about 3-4 years. So next year obviously these same people won't come back, so we'll be changing to some other people.
Well, I think that'll silence a lot of the criticisms that some of the fans walk away with, and of course I'm an athlete, I'm going to spearhead the charge, but I think that the accountability factor has now been resolved. You're the head judge, you saw to it that you rotated it, you got a fair distribution of people from different companies, countries, Australia, Israel, different countries.
Yeah.
That's a good reflection on where you guys are trying to do, because all we want is some accountability, and so long as that you guys continue to rotate the judges and opinions, I think the athletes, they can't do anything else. There's no more complaining.
Exactly. I mean, all we can do is, judge what's in front of us, and also we come up with another little system. We made up pads that actually have calls on, like 3 numbers on, and each judge will write them down. And I don't even move now anymore. We just have runners picking them up, like going to judge 1, judge 2, and handing me the sheet. So I just sit there. I don't know if you noticed out there. I'm looking, and sometimes I have to look on the papers. I can't read them, but I don't even move from my chair now to go to the judges, which is kind of cool too. So it looks like I'm not even talking to the other judges.
Right.
They hand me an actual little square piece of pad with numbers on or names. Then I just read off of those for the microphone.
Plus, I noticed that they're closer this year than they were last year.
Yeah, I still feel that we could be a little closer, and I've talked to Wayne about that. I want to still try to get up. I think we should be we should be first before the photographers.
Right.
This is Mr. Olympia.
Right.
So I'm going to try to move where we can get forward, and I think the photographers can be behind us.
Well, as I've been leading the charge over the years, trying to get some accountability and some of the judges rotated, I've never really attacked any one individual judge, but certainly you guys are taking strides to make the judging system where there's no room for complaint, which is all the athletes want. I think all the fans can ask for.
I understand that. And I mean, of course, everybody the day of the show expects they should win. The judges, again, it's not an easy job. We've had athletes who turn judges and quit judging because it's just not easy. When you get behind there, you have to write down the actual numbers on that piece of paper. It's a little hard. Today was even rougher because we had 25 athletes, and I had some fairly newer judges on it. It was a little rough on them because you're scoring all 25. It gets to be a long process. That's how I had so many call-outs to make. I mean, it took a long time.
It makes a long pre-judging.
Yeah, it really does.
Do you think that it's better to have a fewer number of competitors instead of having 25? Maybe limit the Olympia entry to 15 or 16?
Well, you really can't limit it because we do qualifiers. But I think what we should do is cut down the qualification. Even at this show, I don't think we should take the top 10. I think we should only take the top 6.
Right.
Make the fellows who play 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th have to go into some of the smaller shows to qualify, and that way we won't have so many people on the stage. I'm not trying to. I know everybody wants to be in Olympia, but this is the Super Bowl bodybuilding, and I think it should be limited to maybe 17, 18 people, but we can't put a limit on it when we do the qualifications. If someone qualifies, we have to let them in. So this year we happen to have 25. We would have had 27 without you and Jay Cutler.
Right.
So we would have had 27 people up there. So, I mean, I think by cutting back on maybe here, cutting back 4 places, and some of the other shows, even cutting back to the top 3 instead of top 5, we won't have as many people. I know it's going to cut some people out of being on the stage at Olympia, but you kind of have to earn your way there.
Right.
You know that. You started out, and so you have to work your way in.
Well, that's interesting because it brings us to this point. I mean, you're at the press conference. I'm one of those guys that feels everybody should get paid for being here. Do you think that we'll evolve to the point where we'll have every athlete leaving with pay? I know you're just a judge. That's not your responsibility.
Yeah, I mean, on the financial end, I really don't have anything to do with it. On a personal note, I could see giving the athletes something. I mean, it's better when you have 25. I don't know if all 25 should get it. Maybe when we start getting the qualification done, where we have 15 to 17 people, then instead of 5 people leaving without money, to give somebody $1,000 or $500, whatever it may be. But then I can see Wayne's point. It is sometimes athletes don't come in shape, and I don't think they would not get lazy and try to come in their best shape at the Olympia. I think athletes are all going to try to come in great shape. Some just miss their timing and come in bad shape. So you can't really say, well, I'm going to get $1,000, I'm going to come in bad shape. They're all going to try to come in shape. It just happens some don't come in good shape. So you can't look at it that way, whereas by saying I think if they don't come in shape, I think the $1,000 is not going to matter. No one's going to say, well, geez, I want to go to Olympia just to get the $1,000. I don't care if I'm 15.
Bigger than that, right.
So I think it's a lot bigger than that. It's just the guys miss their timing, and sometimes we say, wow, these guys shouldn't even be up there. Well, I'm sure they didn't try to look like that.
Sure.
They all tried to come in at their best, and they didn't. So I think it's something we'll work on. It's sometimes with Wayne and all of us, when you first hear about it, and then it takes a little time to think about it. I think we're going to have a lot more. We formed a bigger committee now. We're going to have more input. And we're looking at some changes even in the way we judge the shows. We want to maybe thinking about condensing some rounds. We're going to look at a lot of different things.
Well, there it is from the most respected professional head judge in all of bodybuilding, the Don, Mr. Jim Mannion. Thank you for your opinions.
All right.
Okay. Well, there you have it. I mean, we're at the Mr. Olympia 2002, and I tried to bring to you guys all the athletes up close and personal. Every journey was different for each athlete. You saw all slices and shape. We saw Gunther at 299 pounds, standing at about 6'1", all the way down to little Lee Priest at about 5'4" and 200 pounds. It's interesting to be on the other side after 13 Olympias, to stand here and watch the show as a fan and as a spectator, to listen to the guys, how they've matured in the way they look at the Mr. Olympia and what it actually means to them. Don Youngblood at 48 years old, never thought about coming to the Olympia and making money. He was just hoping one day that he would qualify and get here, and arrived. He has done that. Flex Wheeler, 2 years out of the pro scene, born-again Christian, has a different perspective of what the Olympia means to him. Didn't come here trying to knock off Ronnie Coleman or do battle with Kevin Levrone. He just was hoping to make it here, and he has done that. We also heard from Nasser El Sombaty, one of the greats of all time, second place in this competition back in 1997. Doesn't look like he's going to make the top 10. Very disappointed. but yet he's here nonetheless, and he's got a lot of reevaluations to do about where his career goes from here. So it'll be interesting to see as some of the older guys get older too and slip down in placements where their mindset will be. But one thing's for certain, we've got a lot of young rookies here. Gustavo's first time here at the Mr. Olympia. We also have George Farrar and Bob Ciccarillo and King Kamali, a lot of young guys that are going to keep this sport alive and keep it interesting for the years to come. But Ronnie Coleman, what do you say about that guy? 39 years old, you know, looks to win, is on his way to winning 5 in a row. He's not slowing down and has no intent on quitting. And then you have 41-year-old Oral Burke, you know, possibly a top 6 contender again here tonight. So bodybuilding becomes what you make of it, and everybody's view on it is different. We all come from different backgrounds and different interests to get here, overcoming relationship problems and injury problems. But the one thing that all these athletes here today showed is true grit and dedication and love for the sport of bodybuilding, and that's what keeps us all involved in this industry. And with the help of GMV Videos, we'll keep bringing it to you year after year. Until next time, I'm Shawn Ray.